Model R's. Welcome back to the new style glider build. It's a lovely little 2-channel glider from a free plan that was in the February edition of the RCM&E magazine this year, 2025. I'm going to be building the starboard outer panel for the wing today. What I've done is I've already cut sheeting for the front of the wing, the trailing edge. I've cut the main spar and I've cut the 3 ribs. Now, the plan, you only get the left hand outer panel drawn. Don't worry about that, not an issue. There's multiple ways you can get around this with plans. You can put some oil over the top, which will make the plan sort of transparent. I mean, you can turn it over and copy the lines on the other side. I'm not going to do that because I need all of this plan to build this model. If you have access to a PC, a scanner, printer, you can scan it, rotate it on the PC, print it out the other side, or you can simply just trace it. What I'm going to do is something slightly different but very, very simple, as what we have is just a small wing panel. So cut the sheeting for the front. It's all drawn up on the plan for you. Just following the lines, making sure everything's square. Line it all up. Pin that down. I'll do the same with the trailing edge. Capping strips. That's what we want. It goes there. Everything's well lined up. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop a bit of CA on those joins, let it soak in sorry, and then just wipe it off. Give that a second. There you go. CA just a second to get into the bolter and then wipe it off the surface. Now, CA glue is pretty difficult to sand. It's not impossible, but it's pretty difficult, and that's why it's important that we wipe it off. Okay, we don't want any excess, but we want to give it plenty of time to get into the bolter and bond that up. Okay, now that's the bottom sheeting done. Now the simple part of this is just pop that off the plan. Okay, so we have a sheeted section, and all we're going to do is turn it over, and I'm going to use the same lines on the plan to make sure that we don't twist it and we're running straight. and pin it down again. So we're following those lines straight. I'm just going to put a ruler across there to make sure we straighten this side. There's no twists. Pin that down. That's it. How simple was that? Now the main spar on this plan, it's not the main spar, it's the outer panel spar. All of the angles for the dihedral are cut into the spar. Okay, so our ribs just follow that, and that gives us the angles that we need. So it's simple. This fits exactly on the edge of that sheeting. So we line it up with the edge there, we line it up with the edge there, and we put this edge with the edge of the sheeting, and it's that simple. Okay, CA glue, put some in down there, roll that down. There. That's that. So now we can get the ribs in. So we have the end rib, which just lines up exactly with the end of the bolster strip and the capping, and lies in towards the spar, and that gives us our angles. Wicking some CA in there. That one, middle one, and just run that down the centre of that capping strip, and that keeps us nice and straight. Off. Now this part on this build is quite important. This slot here on this rib, we want the back edge of the slot against the spar there, leaving the gap at the front. So the gap in the slot has to be at the front, because that's where your dihedral brace goes through. It'd be quite easy to put this rib on wrong, so give that some thought if you're doing this. Just whip some CA in. The sheet at the bottom up to the ribs, and wicking a bit of CA there. Simple as that. Simple as that. That's the panel pretty much made up, apart from the top sheeting. And now what we're going to do is the fun bit and get it onto the main wing. So I'm lumping it off the plan. Okay. There's the now what we have to do now to allow this panel to slide onto this main spar, what we have to do is just line that wing up there, we have to take the balsa out at the bottom just to allow this this dihedral brace to go through. So what you do is, along this line here, you just make a cut through, along the front of the spar. That's it. And we want that about 3 mil down there. Put that out. I will be gluing this piece back in a minute, so I'm not overly fussed on the cuts. It will go back in, it just needs to be removed to allow the angle of the brace to go in to the panel. Okay, we've got that removed. That now should slot together. Give it a bit of luck. Okay, so we have something restricting us. We're just a little bit tight there on that slot on the dihedral brace. So I'm just going to take a little bit off that. Just a little bit, doesn't need a lot. I would imagine that's probably why I've cut it more so than the drawing. Okay, clean it up with foil. Try again. There we go, it's gone. That's that. So that can now all be glued together. So to glue this together, what I'm going to do, I'm going to run some Gorilla Wood glue. I'll do it on this one actually so you can see. I'm going to run some Gorilla Wood glue along there. Just need to clean up that sheeting a little bit there, look. Gorilla Wood glue along there and there, just along the rib, and then I'm going to use some thick CA on the spar. And the reason for that is I'll just allow that to grab instantly. I'm dripping glue all over my plan. Which isn't what I want. Slide this on rather than, that's it, that's it, that's it. You have to work fast because of that CA glue. Okay, turn it upside down, line it up. There we go. What I'm going to do now, pull these together. I'm just going to wick some CA into there, and that'll just hold that in place, hold the line. Be lined up for us. There we go. Again, take it off. Beautiful. There we go. And as I said, that bit of balsa that we just cut out of there, we just drop that back in. Some CA into it. It will sit proud, but obviously it will sand off. Okay. Now to sheet the top. What we have to do is we have a 2mm strip of balsa as a false leading edge. I've decided to put this in after I've done the sheeting and stuff. So I'll do the bottom piece of sheeting, put this in, glue that on, and then I'll sand it between the ribs and put the top sheeting on. So I've cut that. It's just a simple case. I'll just mark the top of the ribs there and just follow it with the ruler. Let me cut that off straight. This is just a false leading edge. You're still going to put the actual leading edge on the wing once it's all sheeted. Again, just making sure that's straight, wicking in some CA. And that's that. So I'll clean that up now, which actually doesn't need a lot. So basically just get a sanding block and just clean it up. But I'll do that now, and then I'll come back and we'll sheet the top. Hey modellers, so I've got some more 1.5mm balsa strip. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some thick CA across the top of those ribs. Just in the middles. And then I'll just line that up. It lines up with the rear edge of the spar. Put that on. So make sure that's glued onto that CA in the centres first. And what I'll do, just turn it over, thin CA, and just wick it into there. Along that edge. And again, just wipe off the excess. Less to sand the better. Right, that's that. So just run a knife down there, run a blade down the front edge, all the way down. Okay, I'll sand that off in a bit once the glue's dried. Trailing edge. What I'll do, I'll just use the plan to get the width, mark it there, mark it there. We need an angle, so again I'll use the plan. Just line everything up, ruler across. And there we go. Wick a bit of CA into there. The axis. There we go. And get underneath, come down this back edge. On top of the ribs. And just drop that down, lining it up. Right. Over. I'll just wick a bit in down here, just to make sure we've got a bond all the way. Okay. Capping strips. Underneath, going down the bottom. Yeah, good job. Hello modelers. So that's the panel that we've made today, sitting there on the wing. The wing tips are glued on, they just need sanding, well, cutting, planing and sanding, same as the leading edges. Leading edges are just, they've been glued on with Gorilla Wood glue, just tape's just holding them back, but I'll still leave them till tomorrow now. Plane and sand all that to shape. That's the left outer panel. Now what I've done is the sheeting in the middle of the wing, which I'm pretty sure, you read that plan, it tells you there to sheet that. And I'll tell you what, why. It ends there, and then it shows sheeting there, and it says 1.5 mils balsa sheeting top and bottom. So I do think the plan calls for that, but in the magazine, the guy who's designed the model and built it hasn't cut it like that. So what I've done is I've thought, yeah, that's a lot of sheet and a lot of weight that I don't really need. I was worried about the, you know, I wanted a good strong seat for the 049. But what I've done is I've actually left this a bit wider than he has in the magazine. He's cut it just past the ribs, so just past those lines. So I've left that a little bit wider, and I think that gives me, that's absolutely fine. That'll seat on there fine. What I didn't want was any of this on film. I didn't want too much of it relying on film to sit on. I wanted it to sit on something solid. But that's that'll be absolutely perfect, I think. So yeah, that's the wing pretty much all made. Just waiting on that glue to dry on the leading edges and those wing tips, and I can sand and plane and get that all nicely to shape. There's a fin and rudder from the other day. horizontal stabbing elevator. So yeah, it's coming on. I've checked, put the wing on a flat bench, and I checked the dihedrals, and everything's all square and perfect and as it should be. So there you go. One wing, one tail. We're getting there. Thanks for watching, modelers. As I said in part one, the centre part of this wing goes together pretty much exactly the same as an outer panel, just slightly bigger. A few little differences. Mainly the main spar is one size all the way through, whereas the outer panel spars are tapered. The centre panel is actually easier to make than the outer panels. It's really simple regarding the way the parts cut and fit. Everything that I've taken from the plan and put in has all just gone together sweetly. I've not had to adjust anything, I've not had to make any changes regarding that. It's going together lovely. Maybe different when we come to the fuselage, I don't know, but if the wings are so good, I would imagine the fuselage will be good. Regarding taking dimensions from the plan, putting it onto wood and cutting it out, I'm going to cover how I do that with the fuselage formers and the fuselage sides. It's exactly the same principle with doing wing ribs, spars, all that kind of stuff. So we'll cover that in the next one. I will clean these wings up tomorrow morning. I'll show you them in the next video, and then we'll jump straight onto the to cutting out bits for the fuselage. But if you do fancy having a go at a plan build, I really would recommend this. It's not going to give you any headaches. It's really simple. It's, like I've said, it's in the February edition of the RCM&E magazine. It's the new style glider. It's really simple. I'm making slight changes, as I mentioned, but that's for my benefit for flying it with the Coxo 49 and the power pod. Yeah, it's a lovely little build. You use very little wood, really cheap, really simple. I'd recommend anybody have a go at it. Like I said, I'll cover out cutting all the parts tomorrow, or the day after, whenever it'll be with the fuselage. I'm going to try and press on with this and get this done by the end of the week, because I need to get down the field and I need some photos and stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I've had a good hit this week, a good few subscribers come to the channel. A lot of people comment on videos, so I'm really happy. It's good to see that you know, the time it takes to do these, people appreciate it. And it is hard, and it's hard today because I mean here it's like 47 million degrees, it's killing me. So yeah, but yeah, thanks for watching. Leave us a comment, like and subscribe, all that kind of stuff, and we'll go into more detail tomorrow or the day after with transferring parts from plan to wood and cutting it out, and show you how to do that. It's really simple. It's really easy. Honestly, anyone can build this. I'd have a go at it if I was you, because it looks awesome. I think it looks cool. I think it's going to fly brilliant, and I think it's just going to be fun. So yeah, come back to the next one, part 3, and we'll crack on with the fuselage. Cheers guys, have a good one. Bye.